You ever wish your brain came with a user manual? You know, a simple guide for when you're feeling stressed or distracted or just completely overwhelmed? Well, it turns out something like that actually exists. It's called mindfulness, and today we're going to show you how to use this simple, really powerful tool as a reset button for your mind.
Okay, picture this. You sit down to eat a meal you've been looking forward to all day. You take a bite, and then another, but your mind is already jumping to your email or replaying some awkward conversation or planning what you have to do tomorrow. And then, poof, the plate's empty and you barely even tasted it.
Or how about this one? You're in an important meeting. You're nodding along, you look like you're paying attention, but inside, your mind is running a totally different movie. Your body is physically there, but your attention is a million miles away.
If that sounds even a little bit familiar, you're definitely not alone. It's what it feels like to live on autopilot. We just kind of move through our day, doing things automatically, without ever really being present for any of it. But what if there was a way to switch that autopilot off?
Well, that's exactly what mindfulness is. Think of it as simply switching your brain from autopilot to manual mode. It's just the act of paying attention to right now on purpose. And here's the most important part, doing it without judging whatever you find. That's the real secret. It's not about changing your experience, it's about actually showing up for it. So what does this manual mode actually look like? Well, it's a pretty simple three-step process. First, you just focus on the now. Anchor yourself to what you can actually see, or hear, or feel. Second, you just observe what's going on inside. Scan for tension in your body. Notice an emotion that's hanging around, or just watch the thoughts floating by. And third, and this is the big one, you don't judge it. You just acknowledge it. So instead of, I'm so anxious, it becomes, okay, there's that feeling of anxiety. See the difference?
And this right here is where things get really interesting. This simple little process gives you the power to break that chain of instant knee-jerk reactions. It creates this tiny little space between something happening and how you respond to it. And that space, well, it changes everything. Let me give you a quick story to show you what I mean. Imagine your boss gives you a sharp look in a meeting. The autopilot brain, it just instantly reacts. It jumps to, oh no, I'm in trouble. She hated my idea. And bam, your stomach clenches, your heart starts racing, and you're just lost in this spiral of anxiety. But the mindful response, it creates a pause. You see the glare and you feel your stomach tighten. But instead of jumping to conclusions, you just observe. My stomach feels tight. That tiny pause is everything. It gives you the space to think. Maybe she's just having a stressful day, and then you can choose a thoughtful response instead of just reacting. And the best part about all this, you don't need a yoga mat, you don't need a silent retreat. This is a toolkit you can literally use anytime, anywhere, in just a few seconds.
Here are a few of those tools you can start using immediately. Feeling overwhelmed? Just pause and feel 3 full breaths, in and out. Is your mind racing? Stop and just name 3 things you can see, or hear, or feel. When you're feeling annoyed, just silently label it in your head. This is frustration, like you're a scientist observing it. Even just feeling your feet hit the floor as you walk to the kitchen can pull you right out of autopilot. Or try this one. Before you open a door or before you answer your phone, just take 1 single, deep breath. That's it. You just practiced mindfulness.
Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. There are a lot of weird ideas out there about what mindfulness is. So let's just take a second and clear the air on some of the most common myths. Okay, first off, this idea that mindfulness is about emptying your mind and stopping all your thoughts. No way. That's literally impossible. The goal isn't to stop thinking, it's just to notice when your mind has wandered off, and then gently guide it back. Second, you do not have to sit cross-legged for an hour. Like we just saw, you can do this while you're washing dishes or walking down the street. And finally, mindfulness isn't some way to escape your problems. In fact, it's the total opposite. It's about turning towards your problems with a clear head, so you can see them for what they really are and then decide how to deal with them wisely, instead of just reacting out of fear.
And this isn't just some nice philosophical idea. It's actually backed by some amazing science. Neuroscientists have found that practicing mindfulness consistently can physically change the structure and the function of your brain, for the better.
Yeah, this is a physical change we're talking about. Studies show that after just 8 weeks of practice, you can see a measurable drop in activity in the amygdala. That's your brain's little fear and anxiety alarm. At the exact same time, the prefrontal cortex, which is kind of like the CEO of your brain, in charge of focus and decision-making, it actually gets thicker. You are literally building a brain that is more focused and less reactive. You're building that all-important buffer between what happens and how you respond.
And if you need one single number to show you just how powerful this is, here it is, 50%. That's the reduction in the relapse rate for recurring depression for people using therapies based on mindfulness. A 50% drop. That's an impact that's comparable to antidepressants, but it's achieved just by training your own mind.
So look, mindfulness doesn't promise to make all of your problems just disappear. It doesn't promise a life that's free of storms. But what it does offer you is a completely different way to relate to them.
I love this quote because it just nails the whole idea. It's not about waiting for life to be perfect and calm before you can be happy. It's about learning how to find your balance, find your footing, and maybe even a little bit of joy right in the middle of whatever's happening.
So I'll just leave you with this one simple question. This doesn't have to be some big dramatic thing. Where are you going to find your first moment of calm today? Will it be in that first sip of morning coffee? Will it be the feeling of your feet on the floor when you get out of bed? Or maybe just in a single, conscious breath you take before you start your next task? The choice is all yours.